Welcome to Leadership Drip. I appreciate you being here today. I'm excited. We are joined today by Charlene Wheeless. Now, let me tell you about Charlene. Charlene and I connected at a graduate program for professional speakers and performers. And I can tell you, having been in many of the sessions where I watched Charlene speak, you're in for a treat. In addition to Charlene having her own company, being an executive, being the senior advisor for an equity and justice at APCO Worldwide person, which is a global advisory and advocacy communications consultancy. She's also an author. She just recently published a book, and I'll let her talk about that. And she is someone who, in my opinion, has taken the "it's my responsibility" seriously and done a great job. And Charlene, welcome. I appreciate you being here.
Oh, great. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here with you, Ralph. So I appreciate the invitation.
It's my pleasure. Let's talk about the book, first of all. You just wrote a book.
Sure, twist my arm.
Right? A lot of people in leadership, the reason I want to talk about this first, Charlene, is a lot of people in leadership have either thought about it or have really wanted to. So let's talk about not the book. I mean, obviously you can talk about that, but let's talk about the why you wrote the book.
Sure. So I've been in the corporate world for 33 years. And in January of 2020, for a variety of reasons, I decided to leave the corporate world. Primarily because I had been sick. I had an illness, and everything changes when you have a serious illness. And so I decided to leave the corporate world, and I was thinking about, okay, what was I going to do? And I thought, well, I'll write a book. But then I thought, well, maybe I'm not ready to write that book. I don't know. And so, but because I had been sick, I had cancer. I had a very unique journey with my cancer, in that my 7-month treatment turned into a 3.5-year treatment plan. And so, I've always believed that if something negative happens to you, you have to turn it into a positive for other people, right? Otherwise, you just kind of suffered for no reason. And so as I was thinking this through, I literally woke up one morning and I said, oh my gosh, I have to write a book. And I thought, okay, well, I'll write a cancer memoir. But then I thought, that's not really my purpose. I have more to say than just talking about cancer and how that completely upended my life in a way I would have never expected. But I also had this story of my life around being, a Black female, climbing the corporate ladder, a Black female executive, being the one and only for most of my career. And you learn a lot in that process. You go through a lot, not all of it good, not all of it bad. And I suddenly just felt like this pull and this responsibility to share those lessons and those strategies with other people. Because often when you go through it, you think you're alone. And people need to know that they're not alone, that they're not, there's not anything wrong with them. And, the title of my book starts with "You Are Enough." And the reason why I chose that's not the whole title. It's "You Are Enough: Reclaiming Your Career and Your Life with Purpose, Passion, and Unapologetic Authenticity," which I know is a mouthful. But, the whole point is that, when you're someone like me, Black female executive, you don't come from, money, you don't come from a privileged background, you go into the work world or the world in general, and you are constantly being told, either in words or actions or inaction, that you're not enough. And so you spend your entire life trying to prove that you are enough. And you never really even know enough of what, right? It's just people tell you, wait your turn, or no, you're not this, you're not that. And bias comes into the whole thing. And, after going through the cancer treatment, the not being able to just walk back into the life I'd spent so long building, I just had to go through this new kind of growth period internally that ultimately led me to, you know what? I am enough.
Mm.
And I don't know why I spent the last 30 years letting people tell me that I'm not and believing it. So I wrote the book because I want other people to realize that you are enough just as you are and that you can be unapologetically you.
And I so appreciate that. One of the reasons I wanted to have you here, and I hope the audience hears this loud and clear, when I heard what your talk was about and what your book was about, I thought, okay, this is great, but it doesn't relate to me. I'm not right. I'm not going to be
Right.
connected to this. Uh,
Mhm.
but boy, oh boy, was I wrong. And I mean this
Yeah.
sincerely. And I want the audience to hear this. If you're not a Black female,
Mhm.
do not think this doesn't relate to you,
Right.
because it
Mhm.
does.
Right.
And it's really important that males, Black, white,
Mhm.
or any ethnicity or gender, understand that it's important that most of us go through life thinking we're not enough.
Right.
And that's one of the things I really appreciated what you did and how you did it. Can you just maybe share with the audience a little bit
Mhm.
about that and how connected you are to really anyone?
Yeah, and it's interesting that you say this, Ralph, because I have people who've received the book in advance, and almost to a person, well, not even almost, to a person, people have said to me, I started reading the book, reading your story, but before I was even finished reading the book, I felt like I was reading my story. And these are people who come from all different kinds of backgrounds, and we have a lot of the same experiences, whether you're a woman or a man, you suffer from imposter syndrome, right? Some people at greater degrees than others. You're always wondering, is everybody in your corner, or are people working against you? And you realize people are working against you. And you don't know why, but what do you do about that?
And
Right.
especially Charlene, as we aspire to or start to get towards this leadership thing,
Oh my
right?
gosh. Mhm.
Right. So
Right.
talk a little bit about that, because I think that's where I got the chills in hearing your talk and
Mhm.
seeing your content. Was the closer I got to being a leader, and then the more I developed as a leader, the more I related to what you were talking
Yeah, two things happen in people's lives. They happen with me and with others as you climb, that ladder. One is that, as you're climbing the corporate ladder, whatever ladder it is that you're climbing professionally, you think that once you reach the mountaintop, that everything gets easier, that
about.
all of the politics, all the crap just kind of goes away. And the one thing that I learned is that it doesn't get easier at all. It just becomes different, right? And that was really a big surprise to me. I wasn't expecting that. And the other is, and I've often said to people, that just because you have a seat at the table doesn't mean that people are comfortable with you being there.
Mm.
Right. And we tend to think about, well, now I have that seat at the table. Am I comfortable there? Do I feel like I belong? And what really matters more is whether or not the other people at the table feel that you belong, because
Yeah, no, I
that's where
love
the
that.
power base is, right?
Love that. And I'll tell you, one of the other things that really attracted me to your material was how and these are my words,
Of
but you're
course.
kind of the anti-victim, in your, and look, today
Mhm.
there's a big conversation about this. And
Right.
really, you approach it from the, hey, look, I'm going to have to do something about this. As a matter of fact, there's a part of your talk where you address this head on, and you
Yeah,
essentially say, this is my responsibility.
absolutely.
As leaders, as people who are aspiring to be leaders, especially Black, female, or people who
Mhm.
maybe don't feel like they're enough. What would you say to those folks?
I would say, don't let anyone define or tell you who you are. And especially don't believe them,
Mm.
right? Because people are constantly particularly if they aren't comfortable with you. They are constantly going to tell you what you aren't capable of.
Yes.
And if you're careful, you're going to believe them, and that's going to be the life that you live.
Mm.
Right. And I think that we have to let people's lack of confidence or lack of believability in us, whatever it is, we have to let that fuel us to prove them wrong.
Mm.
Right. Because I think about in my career, if I had stopped, or even in my life, if I had stopped when someone told me that I was not worthy, um, then I would have never achieved the success that I did.
That's right.
And when I was in, I have all kinds of stories, as you know, Ralph.
Yeah.
When I was in seventh grade, I tried out for cheerleader, and I was in junior high school, and I made it as the fourth alternate. Okay, so you have to be really bad to be the fourth alternate. Okay, let's just be clear about that. And and I was disappointed. I thought I had a little bit of talent. And the sponsor, they didn't have coaches in those days. The sponsor was my math teacher. And within 2 months, I was put on the team.
Wow.
And and being just kind of this naive, 9, 10-year-old, I asked my teacher, I said, I'm so happy to be on the team. Why did you put me on the team? I'm the fourth alternate and you've moved me ahead of others. And she said to me, well, Charlene, you're Black. And so we thought you'd be a troublemaker and didn't want to put you on the squad. And now that I've had you in class, I see that you're a nice little girl.
Wow.
Okay. So 2 things kind of blew me away about that experience. One was that here was this adult saying this to a child. And 2, I believed her. I understood her. I accepted what she said to me.
Right.
And it was shortly after that I realized that was going to always plague me, right? That for some people, they would not see me for who I am. And yes, for me, it's being Black, a Black female dealing with people's biases, but for others, it's going to be other things.
Sure.
And you have to be in the moment and make that choice that you're going to say, no, you're wrong. I'm going to be who I want to be. Right. And you have to make that decision and make that commitment to yourself and believe it, because that's the thing, is
That's
that we
very true.
believe the negative, but we don't retain the positive that people tell us. So you have to become, right. You have to become your own, I call it your chief encouragement officer. Right.
No, I love it. And you're right. Whatever people tell you, negative or positive, you're going to believe. Hey, we're out of time, but this has been fantastic. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Ralph.
How can people get a hold of you? So we know about the book, but how, if they want to reach out to you or know who you are, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so I'm quite prolific on LinkedIn under my name, Charlene Wheeless. Feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to talk to people and give them thoughts or advice, or say, hey, have you thought about this? I would love to connect with people. And then also my website, which is Charlene Wheeless, double S, like without wheels, charlenewheeless.biz.
Right. I love that. Just for the audience, it's wheelless, like wheel-less. So no wheels.
Right.
And I'm just telling you that because that's the way she told it to me.
It is. Exactly.
Thank you again so much. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Ralph. It's great to see you.